In a world of Iron Men and super soldiers, gods and eternals, what is the best power a regular person could get their hands on in the MCU? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have you believe maybe it's Live Model Decoy, maybe it's Project Centipede, where people will think you're Luke Cage, but you're not. You're not Luke Cage. You're Deathlock. Is it the powers of the immortal Iron Fist? Well, after watching the Shang-Chi trailer, which shows that Abomination is back, baby.
And Fing Fang Foom is riding high.
He's ready to finger fang foom der blast your girlfriend while we talk about the best powers in the MCU that a regular person could get. Speaking of intense openings,
welcome to the Poppycock podcast.
I'm joined by my hosts, Sam and Dan. I, of course, am the ringleader of this crashing nightmare.
Oh my goodness.
Joel. That's a wiener dog. Zane is pointed directly at us.
He is buried only.
Welcome to Poppycock
Podcast.
Podcast. Thank you for listening. This is chaotic already. I wanted to do this a long time ago when Falcon and Winter Soldier was first airing, because I was like, oh, well, here's a new super soldier serum. Let's discuss this. But Sam was like, what were you watching at the time that you had to finish? Was it Invincible?
Invincible, yeah.
You had to finish Invincible, and then you needed time to decompress before you could go to a less good movie or superhero show. That's not fair. Animation can do things that live action can't. It's a very good TV show, but Invincible crushed it.
And they had Ezra Miller, which, as we all know, anything that has Ezra Miller in it instantly makes it better than anything Marvel could put out.
Then why did Joss Whedon make him motorboat Gal Gadot's pregnant breasts?
That was the joke, it's like...
He's not a guarantee of success?
Yeah, it's...
Also, isn't he in that movie where the wizards are like, let World War II happen? Johnny Depp shouldn't try to kill Hitler?
He's autistic Voldemort.
I can't tell if you're joking.
I am not joking. He is autistic, and turns out he's the source of all evil.
Well, that's kind of a mean thing to say about people that are on the spectrum. J.K. Rowling, who said more offensive things than that, if I'm being honest.
Well, apparently his autism is a direct cause of him being
So wait, all autistic people are just autistic because they have Voldemort evil?
I think if she goes through a few more drafts, eventually she'll be able to write the original draft of the Book of Mormon.
I thought you were going to say Mein Kampf, but anyway... Originally, this was going to be what's the best super soldier serum, because there's been the Captain America version.
But then we all kind of unanimously...
Yeah, we all kind of agreed, so I think we've had to widen our scope. Also, I do include extremists within the scope of the super soldier serum, because that was an attempt. Well, it's a very different final result. Well, do we want to discuss why we came to the conclusion that we did? Because we came to the conclusion off air.
Yeah, we came to the conclusion that Blonsky's original super soldier serum...
Yeah, the stuff that was...
injected into his spine and neck.
Yes, but as Sam pointed out, in some type of novel or one-shot,
it's in the Phase 1 collector's thing, the file regarding Captain America.
So it is canon.
Yes.
They explained that the name on the juice that they inject, Tim Roth's Emil Blonsky, that had a different name, but that was a covert name. Well, why don't you explain it?
It was a changed name for Earthguy, and it's not clear if it was originally planned for to change his name before he died, or if it was changed, but it was clear that they changed it as a result. Anything research-wise or done by him is changed under that name, so people aren't just hunting down super soldier serum from the guy who makes it.
Yeah.
That did. Falcon Winter Soldier.
I mean, first of all, what did you think of that guy who... I mean, we're kind of immediately jumping from one beginning part of the spectrum to the sort of final, or at least most recent super soldier incarnation, but they pretty clearly show that, like, you can get, like, a super soldier injection. You don't need Vita rays. You don't need test tubes. It's not lethal. It doesn't make an extreme version of your personality. Maybe it does. Maybe it's hard to say. At least if it does make you an extreme version of your personality, you can level back out after the fact, as we see U.S. Agent do.
Yeah.
But you don't get buff. Like, you don't look like a jacked primate running through the streets of New York. I'm going to be honest with you, that makes it worse in my opinion. Why would I want to look like me when I can look like Chris Evans at the point of physical success where his doctors told him to stop getting bigger because it was bad for his joints? That's like a problem that, like, maybe Dwayne Johnson and Henry Cavill have, and that's it. No one else has got... It's like, I feel like not looking like a silverback gorilla is actually a drawback.
I would say...
I get that in universe it makes sense. Covert ops, I want to be buff.
Well, here's the thing. I think the Blonsky serum would be the ideal one that we see, but then if someone could do what they did to the super soldier serum, say like, okay, yeah, the extremist thing, it did make some people explode, and it was addictive. You constantly need to get more injections. I would say if they fixed it, it's like, oh, you don't need any injections.
Tony solved it.
There's zero chance of getting like that. Like there's zero chance of getting exploded.
Yeah, you can regrow limbs.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna take that because at one point a guy does just explode to the point where it evaporated normal people, and he just is starting to form back, where he has like his clothes are all burned.
That main bad guy.
Like the henchman.
Yeah, the main henchman, when he gets caught that he's dealing to that guy, and then the guy's like, help me, and he blows up.
Oh.
He walks away from that explosion after getting blown up.
Where other people were like...
Well, so if you blow up, you don't reform. But if you're in the blast radius, you can take it.
Yeah,
he didn't, gel himself back up.
Yeah,
that was a misleading...
He regrew his entire, arm, foot, and,
Yeah.
a whole part of his face.
That is a very effective... But which do you think is a better healing factor? That or what Blonsky shows, where he literally has every bone in his body shattered against a tree, and then
Blonsky healed
12 hours later, he's like, what's up? I'm buff now.
Yeah, Blonsky took 12 hours to heal up. That guy took 12 seconds.
However, it's clear that I think that extremists might have more limitations, because if you remember how that character dies, he gets chest beamed through the chest, and that kills him.
Well, to be fair, we never saw anyone shoot Blonsky through the chest.
Well, also...
If he'd just been thrown into a tree...
We don't know that permanently kills him. Aldrich Killian could come back for a few
Well, I don't think Aldrich could, but I could see that henchman having survived.
Yeah.
That'd be a good Armor Wars character to bring back with Don Cheadle's new Disney Plus series. I'd have no problem with that being we're both now A-listers now.
The Rafter, what was it? The Big House, which I really want to see brought into...
The Big House.
It's Ant-Man's prison.
Oh, I was talking about the MCU, so you went into the comics without warning me.
Well, if you saw, if Don Cheadle was like, I need help from someone who knows how this industry works, then he talks to that guy, and you're like,
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're alive, and it's like, yeah, and it's like.
So I don't know if you remember this, but we talked about this, I think, before we started recording our Infinite podcast, which that's going to be a real pain for me to edit. I'm going to be completely honest. There's a lot of tangents that won't make the final edit there.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm not going on a tangent in this one about the tangents I have to edit out of the last one.
We never even talked about Jumper.
Now we didn't. Now I'm going to cut all of that. But there's a moment in a Marvel one-shot where they bring up the fact that Thunderbolt Thaddeus Ross, he wants to bring Abomination onto the Avengers. He's like, he's a war hero. He only fought the Hulk because he was trying to save Harlem from the Hulk. He's a good guy, but S.H.I.E.L.D. knows that he's psycho, and it's like, no.
Can we address the fact that in terms of heroes who kill their villains, the Hulk hasn't killed one? He didn't kill a single villain that he had.
That's true. The Vision's first time doing anything, he murders his villain.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's killed more people than the Hulk.
Iron Man murders both his villains. Granted, they kind of kill themselves or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of the Marvel way of like, oh no, you accidentally killed yourself. Ah.
Yeah, the Kerchak way of murder.
It's sort of like the Nolan, I don't have to save you, I'm not going to kill you situation. Marvel, it's like an easy out. It's sort of like how Universal had to come up with creative reasons to stop fight, so that no one character wins too many fights against another actor. So they'll come to a standstill right as they're about to throw down some more. I call it a Hobbs and Shaw moment, where you are not allowed to let someone own more. But I think that the MCU offers many skills. In fact, we've seen from Falcon and Winter Soldier that with the right training, a jetpack and some wings can mean that you can face off against super soldiers and win.
Yeah.
Which I think I wrote an article for the Poppycock podcast website, poppycock.video.blog. Check her out, baby. She's a sexy single in your area. Wakanda, just out of kindness.
Wakanda.
Yeah, I'm sorry. As the native people of the fictional land of Wakanda, we call it's Wakanda. We've established that with technology you're effective, but the government literally sent their new Captain America out with no super soldier serum, not any type of real training aside from a montage of him, which, by the way, good on them using army PTs for him training, but also they phased those physical training shirt and shorts out in 2015. So
he was training since before then.
I think the MCU might actually be a little bit behind us.
Well, also, it's set in an alternate reality in which the British did successfully invade everywhere, because everywhere seems to speak English.
Do you mean like they invaded space?
Like they invaded every country.
Did they row to Mars?
Also, it's
Sam, explain why they speak English in space.
in Guardians of the Galaxy, it's when you're getting the prisoners lineup. One of the things Peter Quill has is a universal translator implanted in him.
So he speaks Spanish.
So it's just the Star Trek explanation.
Yeah.
It's like they're actually speaking goopity gop, but I have a special device.
Yeah.
And it works, but if I don't know the alien species for plot reason, it won't translate.
Dude, can you imagine there's some guy in Star Trek universe whose wife's yelling at him, he just takes out the little implant and just...
It's like, oh, this is worse. I actually wish he was talking about how I don't... Alright, fine, I'll put it back.
What was I talking about? Oh, I don't listen to her. Alright.
Haha, comedy. Oh my god, Jeff Foxworthy of MC Universe. You might be a Skrull if you... Oh, God, I hate that that came to my mind. He has his own version of Uno or something at Walmart. I saw it and it made me want to kill myself. That's what... I've been incepted by Jeff Foxworthy. Are you smarter than a young Avenger? Yeah. But there's... They send Johnny Walker and his friend Battlestar, cool name, I don't care what Bucky thinks about it, that's wrong, out into the open with no real protection or means of help, and Sam Wilson ends up with a jetpack and smart drones and potentially fully Wakandan bulletproof armor from head to toe, except for in the vital parts of his soft part of the skull and face.
Sorry, but you might be... Are you smarter than a Chitauri? And they just have like a Chitauri hooked up there. It's just like, kill me.
I already made a "Are you smarter than a young Avenger" joke, so I beat you.
Are you smarter than the reanimated head of these various Marvel villains?
I'd watch that.
You just see Jeff Bridges' head.
But it's hosted by Jeff Foxworthy, but it's just his head because he's MODOK.
Ah.
I tried to be smarter than a 5th grader, and it made me into a freak.
Oh my god. That's not even worse than his actual origins. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh my goodness.
He's fine, Miko. He's
Sorry,
fine. Take the squeak toy away from the loud barky dog.
Because that would mean MODOK has a big ol' handlebar mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Also, and a mullet cape.
It means that... Aim... AIM operates out of a Chili's.
Why is this so funny?
Surprised you didn't say Golden Corral.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Stop.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, my stomach hurts. Stop, please.
I haven't said anything for quite some time.
Oh my god. Okay, so what on earth was this podcast about? Oh, Skrulls.
If you were just a regular person, like, say, a Michael Keaton, and you were like, look at these Avengers and their Avengerisms, what could you get your hands on to become the most effective superhero or supervillain or anti-hero or whatever?
Sam, you're gonna have to take the reins from this, please.
Well, he's the Marvel guy anyway, so...
I can't. It hurts to be existing.
Because obviously, like, I would want to become the Iron Fist. Well, that's difficult because they established that you have to, like, skin an Iron Fist and put their pigment into a new tattoo. Also, you need to know karate.
Interesting detail about that.
Do you want to sit closer so the folks at home can hear you?
Oh, I think we...
Do you need a cigarette?
My laughter is scared. Oh, ow.
Interestingly, there's a lot of options if you consider Thor Dark World, where all the 9 realms opened through portals, and anything from any of the realms wound up in any other realm. So technically, there's a lot on the table. We don't really know a lot about the other 9 realms in the MCU.
I did not expect you to go cosmic.
So, what about the thing that made Curse get his powers?
The rock you put in your intestines or crush in your hand? I don't remember which one he did.
Crush in your hand.
He stored it in his intestines to get into
Oh,
Asgard.
wow, it's like an egg in Dylan O'Brien.
Dude. Thank you. I needed something that's not funny. Oh, that wasn't meant to be an insult.
That was like a really mean thing to say after I gave you a good like minute and a half of pure ecstasy.
Oh, stop. Oh, please, I'll do whatever you want. Just don't make me think about it.
Aim's costumes are yellow because it's Velveeta cheese. Okay, I just had to get that out of my system. I just like to imagine Adrian, like Aldrich Killian is like, I'm the man, or he gets chopped in half. Like, well, who's gonna work now? It's like, finally my time. And it's just like, what's that? And a handlebar mustache removes it steps out into the light.
Oh my goodness. Oh my.
But yeah, that opens up a lot of options because even I think the Dark Elves from Dark World had like laser guns or something.
Yeah, well, Thor Dark World gets a lot of crap despite being referenced in both the Loki series and Avengers Endgame.
Did they have swords or guns? Or both?
They had sword guns.
They had suns, gourds. Neither one of those words.
Both of those are words already.
I know, okay. Joker laugh over here. Calm down.
Oh my goodness. I still have tears in my eyes, and I've been wiping them for a while. Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah, that opens... The only issue with that is we don't know a lot about what else is available, obviously.
So let's just go with what we assume would be.
Also, but we do know that Asgard has a lot of great weapons.
I think if we take in the Netflix ones, which are tangentially true because Charlie Cox is rumored to be in the new Spider-Man movie. And their Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been referenced multiple times by official content. I think anything is on the table. So my question for you is, obviously we've already had a divergence here because I thought it was pretty obvious that Blonsky's initial... Yeah. The only drawback is a spinal injection. And I'm going to be honest, they can knock me out for that. They can anesthetize me. I get they did it for dramatic appeal. Great acting on Tim Roth's part. I really believed he was in excruciating spinal pain.
Can you imagine?
Sound effects helped.
Yeah, ugh.
Can you imagine? It's like, okay, we're going to knock you out, but insurance doesn't really cover the anesthesia, so that's $800 an hour.
That's clearly like why his spine spiked out is because By the way, the reason that he looked that way is the director said people would be confused if he looked like a fish person because unlike the comics, there's just no reason for him to be a fish.
Why was he a fish?
I don't remember.
Hold on.
You can look it up. I've got my people working on it, and that's you. But, by the way, Patton Oswalt's going to be really mad that we're going to recast MODOK Season 2 with Jeff Fox already, because he's like, this is my Hulu
MCU,
Plus. Official, yeah. But I lost my train of thought because I started thinking about Patton Oswalt. I really like him.
Plus, Patton Oswalt's already... isn't he already in the
he's like 15 people in it.
If you look up
Why
Abomination on Marvel...
Uh-huh. They changed his icon already.
Yeah. To the
fish version from the Shang-Chi trailer. Which looks like a really good movie.
The tattoos are still not visible.
Yes, we have discussed this separately, but the tattoo in his skin should have been visible as a monster form.
Yeah, and I feel like if I were going to
bring it back, I would make it
glow. Like maybe when he gets angry.
I don't think anyone except for us remembers he had a tattoo.
Well, no, he had. It was all Tim Roth's
they made him look like essentially like a superhuman, so he gets like buff, and you can see his like chest is a lot better the first time. And then when he gets Hulk blood infused in him and it has a bad reaction, he basically it puffs out his like rib cage and stuff like that and becomes spinal stuff, which I think is a creative way. And he said that he's wanted
a Russian spy.
Yeah. He was a Russian spy in the
KGB apparently.
Yeah, he was a KGB spy in the comics. He was a either British or Russian special ops soldier.
Born in Russia, raised in like England.
Your knowledge of the MCU, especially Phase 1, something that most people have forgotten about, is truly astounding. Stan Lee and Kevin Feige would both be proud.
Thank you.
I genuinely think you could probably enter like a trivia competition and win. What?
Okay, so apparently it's like the Russians tried to make their own Hulk, and they kind of accidentally did. But he never is able to turn back into his normal form, and they don't say why, but I feel like the reason was because Russians are always angry. I think funny. That must be their logic.
So there was a scene that never got filmed, but that was written for The Incredible Hulk, where at the end, the post-credit scene, instead of, it looks like you need a drink, I'm Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., was that you? No, it was me. I fooled you with my incredible impersonation. No, I wasn't trying to. That was kind of the joke. It's called humor.
Who was...
but originally it was going to be a scene where Blonsky would have been sitting, like, basically naked in a cell, having returned to his normal form, because he's just a super soldier who has Hulk blood, and Hulk can revert, so he can as well. Which I like to think that as the Hulk has sort of shifted over time and looks different, so too, that explains his change. It's like, yeah, I look like this now because, like, I've evolved like you have, Hulk.
I love how you had cast Billy Eichner as Iron Man for your impersonation.
Ha ha ha. I thought you were going to say Billie Eilish at first.
No, she would be a bad guy.
Fans were upset that he didn't have ear. Oh, that's a song.
Yes, it's a song.
Why are you making a Mickey Rooney, like, horribly racist, like, face there?
I will say his reasoning for hating the Hulk in this version is just a bit better, in my opinion. But I'll get your guys' opinion.
Can I finish my sentence here?
Sure.
Fans were upset he didn't have weird fish ears like he does now in the Shang-Chi trailer.
Yeah.
But apparently the director specifically avoided doing that. He's like, my Hulk would bite those ears off like Mike Tyson. He's like, my Hulk fights dirty, so I'm not doing that.
That's true. He did choke him out with a chain.
And, like, smash him with
Actually, he
police
didn't even
car
knock him
knuckles.
unconscious. He was still breathing. He's just, like, beaten where he's like...
Also, he kind of, it implies that he broke something when he stomps down on him. He stomps down, he turns his foot, and you hear a crunch sound, and then he roars, and he's just writhing on the ground.
Yeah, no, he's, like, really violent.
I guess
I'm
it's
pretty
the femur, because that's the most painful part.
Without the healing factor, I do think that Blonsky would have been dead there. But I think the fact he had
he would have
super
been dead
soldier
if the tree bit.
Yeah.
Well, kicked into the tree.
But I mean, like, if he was just juiced with Hulk stuff, I think that would have been a Hulk killing another Hulk. But I think because he was a super soldier Hulk, that gave him the edge he needed to not be, dust for Danya. Because he's a Russian, yeah. But you were saying the reason that he hates the Hulk?
Apparently, he blames him because he's like, because the Hulk, he blames the Hulk. He's like, because of you, they wanted to turn me into another Hulk, and now I'm a freak forever. So
wait, he didn't sign up for that?
It was like an accidental experiment that they were like...
Accidental experiment. Classic Russia.
Well, it was like...
Please don't kill me, KGB. But getting back, this isn't just the Abomination cast.
Yeah.
Although it could be. I like that character a lot. He's a very underutilized character. Okay. 13 years since we've seen him on screen.
Also, if I could real quick veer back to the whole... Because if you recall, Hela destroys Thor's hammer. There's just bits of Thor's hammer lying on the ground there.
I've thought about this, yes.
So, obviously you do something with that.
You think make brass knuckles out of the shrapnel?
No, I'm saying just imagine you're someone who finds... Like, imagine if all the people in the world who happen to have also been worthy, the shrapnel was drawn to them, and now they have, like, 1/10 of Thor's lightning and power.
Oh, so like a series of people who were all worthy suddenly got a piece of it?
Yeah.
We also,
that's like a comic series.
And again, heading back to Thor
it's
Dark
like We
World,
Are Robin.
We also know from Thor Dark World when the portals are closed, some of the creatures were still trapped on the wrong side.
You were really on fire with this Thor stuff today.
Well, the portal one was really interesting to me because Thor was the gateway pre-Doctor Strange to learning anything about magic in the MCU. Yeah. So I was like, deep magic
well, that's actually
lore?
A good point. Do you think that finding someone who would teach you magic, which we've established is very hard...
Yeah.
If you could, I mean, hypothetically, there are just a bunch of wizards out there, like, playing basketball until Chitwell Ejiofor shows up. This is a double Chitwell Ejiofor back-to-back podcast recording experience.
Awesome.
Which actually makes it harder to find people with magic because they'd be gone.
Could Basketball Guy have just taught other people how to do spells, or did he
we don't know that he
just learned the leg-working spells?
Well, no, I assume he actually just learned magic.
He probably did most of the legwork.
Wait, hold on. Whoa, hold on. What if... Hold on. Is that... No, it's not the same guy who was in the shield, who was in the hammer drone that severed his spine.
Yeah, I think we determined the time from that. The timeline doesn't add up.
Back to the fucking topic at hand. You're a random person, like a Michael Keaton level person.
I would go extremists.
You would try to get your hands on some extremists.
Perfected extremists. That probably, let's be honest, rest it wouldn't go well because people who get it, they're going to be like, now you're staying addicted to me. And then I'm here doing crime work.
You know what it would be? It would be stable, but it would slowly build up, sort of like testosterone or something. So you'd actually have to go out and fight crime like once a month or like every now and then to sort of Doomsday from Smallville, control your powers from going too far. I didn't expect to make a Smallville reference in this episode, but here we are.
Yeah. We're 2 for 2 with Superman references.
I'm killing it. Like Doomsday, because he killed Superman.
Yeah.
Wakandan technology isn't very readily available, but I think the number of people...
The Claw was selling it.
At the end of at the end of Black Panther, he states that he's probably going to start sharing his technology. It's implied because they say, well, no offense, T'Challa, but what does a remote village like yours have to offer the rest of the world? He's like, ha, end credits, but I'm about to give you an earful.
Well, also, he goes and we started this facility, and then a flying airship from Wakanda lands down next to it, and kids are like, whoa!
Also, you guys are kind of all ignoring that in the next movie, Infinity War, half of the universe is dusted, so all of those Wakandan soldiers and Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and whatever, all of their gear is just out there for anyone to pick up and sell.
Evaporated too.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, that's not entirely true, because we see, Bucky drop a weapon whenever... people drop weapons as they're falling.
True, weapons get dropped, but I think anything that's worn...
I think what I'm saying, vibranium is on the table. It's in slightly higher supply than it was previously.
Do you think Bucky's arm just kind of plopped down?
No, we see it.
No, it disagrees with him.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Don't think about it too hard. It's a comic book movie.
Thanos really was picky whenever he decided what got disintegrate and what didn't.
So if we're in an MCU-esque universe where you can do anything, you like a Skyrim character, make your stats, whatever, and then you can just go out and try to acquire this gear. Maybe you work at Baskin-Robbins. Maybe they don't know everything after all. But you've been only working that job to get enough money to buy yourself cybernetic laser eyes or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you want to say. What's the thing you do to either arm yourself against the next apocalypse that happens, to become a superhero or supervillain, or just because that's the prompt I've given you?
Because the thing is, Doctor Strange's world, yes, it's hard to learn magic and find them, but if you manage to even just stumble into their place, bunch of magical artifacts all over the place.
Oh.
But I think you're playing a hypothetical game, as opposed to, I've seen this exist in the universe, I would use this. Because I was just thinking... If you don't mind.
Sam, I think you would...
Vulture's crew of, Chitauri re-augmented stuff would be great, too.
That's kind of what started this idea, is there's clearly people who have a black market
I think
for finding this stuff.
Sam does have a point that, imagine you're someone who gets Cadmus or something. Not Cadmus, Extremis. And you're like, all right, yeah, that's awesome. And then you find wheelchair, make basketball, the basketball wizard.
Yeah.
Well, also, then imagine you're like, hey... there's a place filled with magical artifacts. Then you start getting other people with Extremis. You have a heist. So then I think there's a power creep that you could eventually storm the Sanctum
There's
Sanctorum.
a reason that in, Destiny and stuff, when you get these powerful weapons, you then turn them into someone, because when you get too many things, you become just a Mary Sue character who can do anything. There are no stakes and there's no meaning.
I will say S.H.I.E.L.D. has some pretty useful gear. I mean, you got icers, you got that grapple thing Cap used that one
Icer,
time.
for those of you who don't remember, is a gun that essentially stuns you. So
Knocks
it
you
shoots
out.
non-lethal shocker rounds.
I would have called it a mosquito.
Well, because it puts you on ice.
Ice means you're
Icer.
dead.
I don't remember what it stands for. Google Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Icer. It may actually ask if you're trying to report an illegal
Nope, that's
immigrant.
just
put the R on ice. So it's Icer. ICE is the organization.
Agent.
You don't have to say it online. I've explained before, this is an audio-based experience that it's like an ASMR podcast next to a porta-john. It's just a nightmare.
Icer gun.
You don't have to...
The incapacitating cartridge emitting railgun. Oh, it actually looks cool.
Yeah, it's a good design.
Oh. It kind of looks like a gun the Mandalorian would have strapped to his hip.
They're handy. And if you get the grenade version, they're knocked out for even longer.
Dude, it has like a guard that you'd see on a revolver, but it's made out of leather and has the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo put on there.
Yeah,
it's all classy.
And like I said,
costume design
there's the grapple that Captain America uses on Iron Man in Civil War. It's like a tiny little hand grapple that shoots a little hook, and he uses
I vaguely remember that. I know that it happened because I think that's when he pulls him down and he gets the boot and he cracks it so he can't fly as easily to help build the tension.
Yeah.
Again, I think that just off the bat, at this point, the serum that Blonsky took is already perfected. It already works. So I would take that, and I think if we already have a hyper perfect version of the delivery system for potentially extremists, and definitely the super soldier serum that they derived, but I would say that means I don't have to have horrific spinal injections, and if it does, at least numb me or knock me out when you do it. Because other than that, you can mess my spine up, and by the time I regain consciousness, my body will have healed with my newfound healing factor. I think if you throw in even something like what Daredevil has, suit-wise, that's slightly bullet or impact resistant, just so you're not constantly breaking bones and waiting for them to heal, and you can essentially become dollar store Wolverine at that point. Because I would argue that the acrobatics that Blonsky shows off on that college campus Hulk fight is better than anything we see Captain America do. He's not as buff, but he's definitely shredded. And I'll take shredded. He definitely has more muscle mass afterwards, but he's mostly shredded. I would rather be buff than toned, but I'll take toned if that's the only thing on the table. And it cures all of my pre-existing injuries. Hell yeah, man. And then, if anyone else does anything to me, I might Hulk out, but I have the Super Soldier Serum, which will always fight to try and get me back to the perfect version of a human, which is all I've ever wanted to be.
I've been thinking.
Real change of pace here.
Okay, so we keep saying Extremis or the Blonsky Serum, but what if they weren't exclusive? What if you could have both?
You could. I don't know how it would react.
Exactly.
Or turn into the Human Torch.
The result could be...
Oh, no, that's how they're going to make the Human Torch.
No. Then thought, well, what if then you took it a step further and tried to make yourself even stronger, and that's what Red Hulk is, because Red Hulk lights himself on fire.
He doesn't light himself on
Dan,
fire.
He gets hotter and angrier against instead of stronger.
Well, yeah, I know that, but he doesn't light himself on fire, he just radiates heat.
Imagine if Extremis was used to fill in the gaps they couldn't figure out about Hulk Serum.
Mixing that stuff together, the result could be...
An abomination.
Anyway, so I really thought this was going to be a lot more definitive, because when we first discussed this, it was very clearly everyone was like, yeah, the Blonsky juice.
Well, we didn't want it. The whole point of the podcast is we just sat around and went, yeah, Blonsky.
Well, I know, but that's what I was so shocked by, is that there was so much diversity. You went Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cosmic Magic. Daniel decided that he wanted to turn all the cheat codes on and just stack everything.
Just go with Extremis, and then you get the guy who made Daredevil's suit, who also made...
He was Stiltman.
He wasn't Stiltman. He made Stiltman's suit. But that's why I'm trying to figure out what he was called.
Didn't he get killed at some point?
I don't think so.
I hope not. But yeah, no. I do think, because doesn't he also make the Punisher's final, the skull chest thing?
I think so. Probably.
Generally in Netflix, it's one person does it. So I would Blonsky. You would use some combination of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent stuff and/or Thor.
Let's not forget that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. we discovered there's things that basically give you super rage abilities that are
like the Berserker staff or something, right? So you would use the powers of Asgard.
Yeah, basically.
Question: if you get a blood transfusion from an Asgardian, like we see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who's just like, yeah, I was a Berserker and I became a school teacher because I'm kind of done with that. If you just got a blood transfusion from that person, would you develop some level of I'm strong or I don't age as much?
I feel like you'd have to, for sure.
Spider bites can give you powers, blood transfusion. That's how She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk's whole premise is a blood transfusion.
Well, I think we've all. So the final little tidbit, written in the shooting script, the way that Sam Wilson's Captain America suit was written is that while the wings were bulletproof, the suit was not vibranium, because they didn't want to give a foreign party access to a full vibranium suit. Although it clearly doesn't maintain the abilities of T'Challa's later suits to be able to absorb and then redistribute kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Which we can all agree, and if you had unlimited funds in the MCU, that would be something you should get your hands on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and once you do that, is there any threat to you at all?
Drowning.
I guess.
Potentially burning alive, although that is in a way kinetic energy, because thermal energy is just kinetic energy in a way.
Exactly. It's diffusing all energy.
So I guess you would always be cool. You wouldn't sweat either, technically. Black Panther should always freeze. I think based on the premise of the cool factor versus how likely and plentiful it is, how expensive or how much of it is in the fictional universe of the MCU, we all kind of came to different conclusions that are this is the direction I would seek out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a nice diverse roundup.
Yeah.
And I gave you a heart attack laughing at Jeff Foxworthy in a giant wheelchair.
Oh man, I still feel that inside me.
Do you have runner's lung?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man.
What would your gimmick be before we go?
Let's see. If I have Extremis and then I'm getting help from apparently he's called Big Man in the comics, or the Simpleton, who makes Daredevil's stuff.
Oof, that's not a very
Yeah.
well-aged name.
I would, since my whole thing is like I would actually bury the lead in the fact that I have fire abilities and healing.
Mm-hmm.
I like wear an outfit that like has a weird mask to it, and I'd name my whole motif after the mask or something. Like, I don't know. Like, Sam, do you have anything like you're thinking of? Because I'm struggling here. On
You want to hear what mine would be?
Yeah.
Batman.
Oh
There's
my
Marvel's
god!
Batman.
You wanted special weapons that were gadgets, but this time they were magic-based, and you wanted to grapple. How did I not see that coming?
I don't know.
It's an hour-long long con you pulled on me.
And especially, I didn't even bring up going and getting my own version of like the Daredevil armor.
Oh my god, you just wanted to be Marvel's Batman.
Don't we all?
Clearly that's just you.
Marvel already has a Batman. Like, they only used him in one run because they were fearing.
You mean, I mean, not to be the guy to say it, but Moon Knight.
No, actually, it's a more on the note. He was called,
Darkhawk?
He was called like
Dark
Black.
Hawk, not Dark Cock.
He was apparently called like the Black Knight or something like that, and he fought alongside the Sun God,
Who looked like Robin?
who looked like Superman.
Oh.
It was the entire Justice League, and it was during like an end of a run where they were like, whatever, screw it.
We're doing Coke, who cares?
So, and
Wow.
he just is Batman, but instead of having the like Batman cowl, he has more of a knight's helmet to it, but he still has that that super recognizable chin. But yeah, I would go with Extremis mixed with a bit of just like a protective body armor. Or actually, you know, I probably want to go with more of a cheap armor, considering I might explode occasionally.
I don't think you would explode. I think if you explode, you're dead.
Well,
You can survive explosions.
yeah. Like, there's no way the suit's going to be as resilient as me.
No.
So I think maybe just go with, like, Scarecrow-style mask from, like, Batman Begins, where it's
So just go for a V for Vendetta look.
yeah, just, like, classic Halloween masks. Just, like, alternate, like, a political mask. Like, it's George W. Bush.
Well, hey, at least we got Batman if it'll win.
I think Obama Mask Man would beat all
Well,
of
we'll
you.
see who can win between Marvel's Obama and Marvel's Batman.
Obama Man, Mask Man. It's Obama Mask Man.
What are you, Tiger Tank Top Man or whatever that guy was?
Oh, the...
Tank Top Tiger Man?
Yeah, the Tank Top Tiger. One Punch Man was what he was watching me and sister watch, and he did not know what we were watching when he walked in, and it was very confusing for him.
Although it did make me look at that and think, yeah, I could be a voice actor.
And that's a positive.
I genuinely did see as a positive. When you see someone who is worse at it than you doing something, you're like, I hate my voice. I'm not that good. And then you see that, and you're like, I did better voice acting in that Kevin Conroy Batman thing we made than that guy just did as a mech man.
Yeah. So,
I was like 5 people. Anyway, this has been the Poppycock Podcast. Let us know what you think would be the best thing to do. Obviously,
is there a topic for a future podcast that you want us to talk about? Tell us. We might not respond to it, or we might ignore it outright. But who knows?
you could be the next person to be completely ignored by us. We do apologize for our weird schedule. We are in the middle of building a house.
And I have been holding in a sneeze, so...
We've
I
all
don't
got a
have
pretty
an excuse.
We've all got a pretty full schedule. You just disappear in the shadows.
Yeah.
Yes, like Batman. Said it for you. There, stroke your ego.
And also, Miko lost his voice and he wasn't able to bark during the podcast one time, and so we had to postpone it.
Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope that we've made the ever-enduring silence and pain and monotony of both life and the lockdown feel like you're around people again. And if not, well, you listened anyway, so I don't really care why you did it. I just care that you did.
Yay.
See you next time. Unless we die and never upload anything else.
Yay.
In which case, I was going to say this has more value, but
In which
it really
case,
doesn't.
We're haunting you.
That's my gimmick. Ghost Cop!
This has been the Poppycock Podcast. Stay fresh.